Okay, so we have a lot of stuff to go over, right? Look at the hashtags: gold, silver, S&P, NASDAQ, SMH, WTI, Dow, Tesla, Amazon, Google. So there is a lot. So I'll do my best to cover as much as possible, right? You know the drill, guys. Give and you will be given. For those who have not yet followed me here on X, right, at Kiddow Stuff, guys, check out Michael's account, my co-founder here at Trading Ninja, as well as our main account here at Kiddows Global, right? You can also check out our YouTube, our playlist, right? There is so much stuff in here, right? All the stuff which is right now unfolding has been discussed in depth, right? And some very nice bangers, okay? So also make sure if you start following me, right, just scan the feed, people. There are so many valuable informations, recommendations, suggestions, whatever you can think of is in our feed. So now I'm gonna try to break down the scheduling for today. So my main focus has been and will remain indices, especially the NASDAQ for the current being, and I will try to explain what, in my opinion, is right now happening across the markets, but obviously focusing first on the NASDAQ, and then we take that information, right, and try to also interpret and see what the other indices are doing. So we have like a very concrete like perspective on the markets and the current state of the cycles. Okay. After that, I want to take my 10-hour attention to the metals and go over also a post of mine I did yesterday, right? Why people are right now maybe playing the wrong assets. That's as honest as I can be, right? But yeah, we will have a look into gold, silver, and WTI also, okay? And if I find then the time, I would, go over some requests and questions. Help, please. Looking for the video where you explained the various cycle candle counts. So I'm suggesting maybe you just should click on the respective charts, right? And then you can also open just up and look at the timelines here, right? So it's gonna make it easier for you to scan the ones. I have no idea, honestly. There is a lot of content, so you gotta do some work on your own. So apologies here. But let's start off with the NASDAQ, okay? So we have been hitting a banger, right? So I just want to go over two posts here to also explain to you what I have been saying. So this post goes back to June 30th. Going for a cheeky short, entry, stop loss, take profit. Okay? Now, yesterday I also posted why I have been in such a good run here, right? Performance. Why? Because the system I'm running is insanely effective. come up with a high time frame cycle thesis like daily or weekly, follow price action accordingly, risk to reward setups at inflection zones. And inflection zones are where price and time meet and make a big decision, just like the gold is right now doing again. Continue this as long as the thesis holds. Ching ching, you're welcome. And I applied this obviously also on the semis, right? I reposted the respective video where you should be looking into this. And the same obviously also applies to the NASDAQ. Okay, so when I posted this back here, right, June 30th, I'm going for that cheeky short. Obviously, this is a freaking swing trade, right? Look at this. That's a freaking 9% retracement. Okay, so when I have a higher time frame thesis, I'm just following the script, right? So I have a high time frame cycle thesis. I follow the price action accordingly. We look into these risk reward setups, right? And then we execute, period. Okay. Now, I could write an entire book and about the cycles and the setup here, but to keep this one short, that's exactly what happened, right? So we did hit these massive resistance zones, right? So we came down. And then I had a thesis on these higher time frames. If we were to go back up, right, and the risk reward setup plays out, then this thesis, which is based upon cycles, can play out. And guess what happened? Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, right? And now we got into the promised land. So I have been communicating about this one. I made some memes here step by step, right? We're gonna get there. So, and now we are finally here. So now looking at the NASDAQ, right? From a market psychology POV, it becomes clear that obviously when you come down 9%, you will have people screaming, top is in, we are in a bear market, run guys, you gotta sell your position. Blah, 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 as usual. Okay? So, when I was communicating this one, throughout these videos here, my stance has been the same. All of this is supposed to be a weekly corrective phase. Okay? Very important. So, I was suggesting, hey, my thesis based upon the daily is this pivot here is likely going to hold as a weekly high, and we are now coming down for a weekly correction. And we are going to follow suit eventually to go higher. Okay? So this has been my thesis and well communicated throughout these past weeks. Okay? Now, obviously, if you have a projection like this, you obviously also understand the markets. If that plays out, right, the first part of that broader scenario plays out, guess what? If we get there, the sentiment will be obviously bearish. And guess what? It couldn't be more bearish, right? So, now, I cannot tell you whether or not this is the actual bottom, but I have worked out a strategy which I shared with my subscribers at Kiddow Global, and we have entered initial positions. When I say initial positions, doesn't mean that I'm going all in at the respective targets, and I'm just gonna now pretend that I know that the bottom is in or not, right? But this has been our thesis throughout, that we will get down here, right? So our plan is we get the initial entry, and this is a swing trade, just like the one we were suggesting the price is going to come down was one. So now, just wanted to make sure you guys get the script here. And now I want to talk a bit market psychology, mindset, set of expectations, and all of these very important things. Okay, so this has been working out brilliantly, right? So let me now explain this. Okay, so let me take these ones out so we have a very clean chart. And I'm just gonna use some pivots here. So if you highlight or label a certain day as a pivot, as a cycle pivot, everything from that point onward needs to make sense, and it normally does. So we were expecting a distributionary environment because seeking out a weekly pivot, right, is a big call. I still cannot, with the highest confidence, right, label this one here as a daily cycle low, or be like, all right, this has been one long daily cycle prior. Okay. So we had a 50 long daily cycle. We had a lower degree for our cycle failure leading into this daily pivot. Alternatively, we just had one here. But remember, this was the shallowest for our cycle failure I have seen in a while. So I'm now leaning towards maybe, all right, the daily cycle low was here, and now we are on day 35. We have entered a time window where we could now set a new daily cycle low. Okay? This is very important because everything I will say from this point onwards is going to be based upon this very same call. Okay? Now, one of my sayings you guys have gotten used to now is we need a lower degree cycle failure to confirm a higher degree cycle to be in correction. Guess what happened here? This cycle has failed. Now we can confirm the higher degree pivot here as a weekly high, and that we are now on our way to seek out a new weekly low. Just for you guys to remember, bottom, high, correction, top. Okay? That's a textbook bullish cycle. Now, we got the failure, right? We have entered the time window. We have even a 4-hour cycle failure, which means the daily cycle is in a corrective phase. Guess what? And we had one after another. Okay? Beautiful. Now, could this be it? Can this be the daily cycle low and we are now starting to grind higher into a new all-time high? I really do think so. However, what is preventing me from just being like, all right, that's the bottom and we are gonna go up from here on forward? Multiple things. And earlier today, I held a live stream as every day. I was like, all right, we got the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good thing is we were right for now, right? That's very good. All of our expectations have been met, right? So the plan stands. This is very good. The bad thing here is if we look into other indices and the likes of the S&P here, we are not getting the same layer of confluence, okay? Now you would argue, but you're looking into the NASDAQ, why should the S&P do the same, right? And I have been communicating this in the past videos, quite addressed this very much, that I'm not expecting the same kind of outcome. But one thing is still a bit odd here. So remember what we talked about here, that the spider here, right, did pull off a daily cycle failure, and that we are in a potentially new cycle. But guess what? This daily cycle is also running out of time here to go significantly higher. Okay? So I would love the S&P here. And again, I don't need this undercut here on the S&P to confirm the bottom on the NASDAQ. That's not the issue, right? But I would love a broader pullback to fill this one here a bit more, right? Before going up. So this piece of the puzzle, I believe, is still a bit missing. And another thing is a bit missing. And I was posting this on X yesterday, and this is an important post, okay? So bear with me. Okay. This post here. One big sign for the NASDAQ and the Qs to set a significant bottom is when you see the spider being proportionately down more than the NASDAQ. Why? Because then you know money is rotating back into tech and other sectors are taking profits and are respectively then correcting. So watch out for these days. They may come sooner than you think. I'll elaborate more ideally tomorrow when I make the live, like I'm doing now. And this is very important, people. Okay? Very, very important. So, like I've been saying, it's not because I want the S&P here to pull off a new undercut. But I want to see the S&P struggle to a certain extent, right? And during that phase, I want to see that the NASDAQ is proportionately holding up very well. If we look at the watch list now, you see the S&P up 0.3 and the NASDAQ down 0.8. That's not what is a sign that, hey, the bottom is in here, right? So imagine the S&P coming down and now the NASDAQ having like pushed up 300 points from its initial low, holding up very well. Meaning, yes, we could still pull off a small undercut. We may even go much lower in case of a market-wide liquidation event, right? Like these flash crashes, which would be perfect. But overall, I want to see the NASDAQ, right, and days where the S&P is down more significantly, holding up respectively very well. Then I see money actually rotating. People are no longer can short the big tech stocks, it's no longer worth it. Money is rotating back into the NASDAQ. And this is one of the missing pieces I still want to see as like a confirming sign, right? People think, oh, they need to be emotional, oh, this is it, and now I'm gonna be good forever with this swing. No, it takes time, people. And remember, why am I this calm for now, despite me having gotten literally the perfect entry here? Like, because during times of seeking out highs and tops, how have I been characterizing these? Time windows of distribution, right? And when we are seeking out significant lows and bottoms, the weekly low is a significant pivot, right? And these times are considered time windows of consolidation. Okay? So, therefore, I would never be like, despite having had a very nice call and my initial position is in, I'm feeling comfortable with this one. I would never call all the bottom is in because there is no technical evidence. Okay? And this is distinguishing me from some morons on Phoenix or elsewhere, right? Who are just copy traders and cannot even explain anything when it comes to cycles or TA for that matter. Okay? Now, that's one of the missing pieces. Okay? And the ugly thing is, it may take some time. So we had the good, the bad, and now the ugly is the following. I think I have also done a post about this. Give me just 1 second. Give me here is a wake. This week. So we have the good, the bad, and the ugly. Good Monday afternoon. New week, new chances, new confusion. Right? It's all scripted. Right? This week is designed for complete chaos. We have FOMC tomorrow, right? Wednesday, big data Thursday, as well as big earnings same days, guys. So on top of this, we have geopolitical news and uncertainty. When I say it's all scripted, I mean cycles have already decided what's going to happen. I have a very high conviction at the end of this, indices in the likes of the NASDAQ are going to be going higher. We have been preparing for this for weeks, okay? Now, that's the ugly part. We will have a lot of volatility. The implied volatility during these earnings, for example, and again, these are big tech earnings. So when we are talking about the NASDAQ, right, they can shake up a bit, right? We could easily go down another 3-4% on the NASDAQ here, okay? So it's all about having the right set of expectations. That's very key. Meaning, if this failed daily cycle is just going to drop another 3-4 days, I would welcome this. Not be like, oh, damn, I'm risking something here. No, that's the set of expectations you need to have. Very, very important. So, also, what's vital here is, you gotta have a solid plan. So my plan has been, all right, I got the designated initial entry zone. I'm going long. Because all of the other stuff I just said with the S&P needs to come down more. I want to see a broader pullback. I need more fear, maybe even. for these pivots to play out, right? Could all be rubbish, and at the end, levels and time are enough, and we're gonna rally off these lows. Okay? This would be the alternative. That's not my expectation because I understand these pivots, right? Or the characterization of these higher degree pivots. And yes, we could rally easily another 3, 4, 500 points and still come down and pull off new lows. Okay? So that's by understanding, all right, a time window off. Okay? That I hope this is very clear. If not, please ask questions. I have now taken roughly 30 minutes just to break this one down step by step. Okay? Maybe I have missed something or have addressed something you guys are personally looking at, or you have another idea. Please put this into the chat now. Daniel Brown, very clear, useful. Thanks. You're welcome. So, and because I'm so nice here, I would give you guys another area to be watching, which is roughly, so we had this power candle without any, yeah, I think there is right here a range where we could be, yeah, power candle backtest and we rally it off. So that's also a nice area right there. And there you go. Okay. So, and one very easy tip here to also come up with higher degree support areas. Okay. So earlier, before this last 4-hour candle, right, we were hitting some support. And by understanding the cycles, right, you zoom out, you take the weekly pivot here, okay, you drag it to the high, and since we're expecting a bullish continuation, we highlight the 0.5. There you go, right? 2678. Beautiful, right? We also highlight the least minimum retracement, which has been 27,700. Okay. So we highlight this broader area as a potential area of consolidation. Okay. So we have just entered a key zone here, right? Doesn't mean that we cannot go lower and consolidate lower here. Okay. For another week, maybe. I don't think we will spend too much time into this one, right? Another 3-4 trading days, maybe, yes, but we should see definitely signs of going back up. And ultimately, claiming back the 10-week will confirm the weekly cycle correction to be done, and then we can focus on higher. Okay, so now the initial work is done. Now we're gonna set our entries, right? And yeah, see how it plays, right? It's, at the end of this, it's all about risk reward. So my risk after my initial entry is roughly 4%. And that's totally fine with me for going for a much, much higher reward. Okay, questions here. Let me check if there are questions on X here. Nope. All right, so very nice. Now, if we just quickly look into the spider here, which is the S&P, I am still a bit, very. So obviously, I'm not gonna go into too much more time into this. I spent that time. I think there is still going to be more downside before we can call any broader pivots in here. Okay, and remember, this week is a freaking chaos week. Okay, and this is maybe the very first part of creating chaos right now. So please check these posts out. Everything I say, people, right? I mean it sincerely, is always backed by TA. Okay? Everything I have been saying for the past 6-7 weeks here, it's all in there. Okay? If there's anything, it is coherence, consistency in every update I have done. Okay? Okay. Now, another important factor here, why I have been remaining this bearish or on my thesis while remaining on the much higher cycle, right? I can be short-term bearish, near-term still remaining bullish, and this is what I am, right? Has been the semis. Again, all I can tell you is follow the post I did yesterday. You will be freaking amazed, right? So I always back up these claims, right? And if you, let's just go into this one. Right? There is plenty of time. Now, what happened instead? And why are semiconductors different to the wick higher and then do this? Undercut, meaning a potential failure if you want to use cycle language, right? This cycle is structured, right? Let's just listen to this and see how amazing this has been. You have the inclining trend line and such. So my post here with regards to the SMH, let's do it again. Swing shorting SMH, the semis here at take profit. Now we are seeking out a top, right? So unlike the S&P and the NASDAQ, I continue 60 for a banger, which would mean that this entire daily cycle is going to fail into early July. So right? That this all is meant to fail, right? Would have been one example. And now look at this. And the levels I shared back then are the same ones as now, right? Even this stuff here, right? And we came down and down and down. And now I have bad news for the memory stock lovers, okay? Because the scenario I explained the last time here is actually following. And this is bad because of multiple aspects, okay? When I was calling for a pullback into a new daily cycle low, right? Remember, this was the textbook example I was giving you guys. And yeah, pretty much played. Now, the question is, where would you be labeling the last daily cycle low? It is tricky, okay? You could be labeling it one right there. This would be an actual bullish outcome because at this point in time, this daily cycle would be already a bit advanced, right? And you could argue this is a failed daily cycle, right? And from here on forward, right, we could justify even massively broader rallies. The alternative count is you label this as a daily cycle low, and then I would be saying, well, if that's to be true, then right now we have failed early in the cycle, okay? And we are basically like buying into a falling knife. This could continue. And if we then eventually do pull off a broader daily pivot, we could rally all the way back up, but we are not going to take out this prior initial high after the failure, and we would continue down like this. Okay, so one scenario is more bearish than the other. The other one, I am afraid, right? Even this one here, unlike the NASDAQ, I do not see pulling off a new all-time high. I could be wrong though, okay? So it will very much, right now, obviously the sentiment is very bearish. You have to acknowledge this. If you label this as a daily cycle low and you have already failed, this would also work for a new all-time high, don't get me wrong. But we should not go below today's low, right? We already tagged here the 200 on the 4-hour, right? You don't want to go down and start, spending time below 520, okay? So you want to actually make this one hold. The issue is I've been going through a couple of memory stocks, and some of them are still suggesting definitely increasingly more downside. So you could be like 50-50 here, right? So I'm much more inclined to long the NASDAQ and some respective Mag 7 stocks than desperately looking for some memory stocks. There will be one I will be going into, but only if price meets time, and that's Micron. But we are not there yet, okay? So just wanted to keep you updating. So remember, the bearish thesis I had on the NASDAQ was also primarily driven by these memory stocks. And guess what? We nailed the top, right? It couldn't get any better. And people then last week celebrated, oh, the bottom is in. Yeah, not before Kiddow approves. So now the question is this it? Again, I don't believe so. I do really think we are going to go lower, and then we will have a big relief rally, but it will end up being exit liquidity. Okay, so one big complacency rally, while the broader indice, which would be the NASDAQ, could be pulling off a new high. Okay, that's my next bold call. So maybe you want to take notes. Anyway, so I'm gonna finish off here with the NASDAQ, okay, and the indices. If there are questions, please let me know now, okay, so I can address them, because once I finish one, I want to focus on the next chapter, and this next chapter is going to be gold, silver. So last chance, guys. Any questions regarding indices before we go into gold? All right. So now, before we go into gold, obviously, I want you guys to be, please don't think I'm arrogant or anything. I am a very nice person, and I'm doing this for you guys. But when it comes to gold, right? And when I'm doing, look at this, look at these streams, right? When I'm doing these streams and I am obviously sharing my knowledge about gold, right? And I have these longer posts here on X, right? Like the one I started with, that my primary focus is not gold in the past weeks, but indices. I held all the... Yeah, that's also a big, before we go into gold, right? Pro tip. Don't try to trade every sector at once. Focus on 1 to 2 and nail them as good as possible. Too much fucking distractions. I mean it sincerely, people. We're here on Phoenix, the land of scammers, know-it-alls, okay? Copy pasters. And what I mean by this is, right? Earlier today, I also posted this one here. I highly recommend you, like I did 4 months ago, to defollow people where you don't get any value from. A purely failed analyst who in the beginning was breaking down stuff very nicely, but his service sucks, and then he figured making money off engagement farming works, right? And you have so many of these. What kind of value do you want me, are you giving me to highlight Micron is down 10%? What kind of value is this? I have a fucking watch list. I know you don't have to tell me, right? So, and these people pretend they, like by posting this, that, oh, maybe they have posted any of this. No, you were completely on the other side, right? And then they, engagement farming, it is called, I got to know, right? Crazy. Okay. So there is so much freaking distraction in the market, right? That at the end of this, you have a worked out strategy plan. And then by getting distracted, you don't do shit, right? So instead of making money, you, due to emotions, you do something else. And then, oh, surprise, I'm actually losing money. And what this does to you mentally can sometimes not be recovered, right? Because it takes time. So what I'm trying to suggest to you is just be mindful and just also be honest to yourself, right? Start following people who explain their approach, break down stuff in simple terms. That's where you get the most value from, not engagement farmers. Trust me, it's going to be all worth it. Okay? By the way, I like how you guys are engaging, giving likes, right? And this is why I'm doing this stream also. And I'm also a very good troll as well, right? So I'm trying to be funny. But I have had another like big post, and was about gold. And once here, this one here is a wake up call maybe for some of you. Okay? In my past week's live streams, right? Which you can rewatch on YouTube, link is in my bio above. You heard me saying that I was not interested in trading gold. Now look what gold has done in the past 3 weeks. Sideways chop. What markets and sectors have I focused on and also shared like swing trades on? WTI nailed the bottom swing. NASDAQ swing short. SMH swing short from the absolute top. All of the three above shared during the live streams, people. Know the markets and the cycles. Risk to reward, period. Okay? And this is so important. Once you understand the cycles, what kind of phase within a cycle we're in, right? It makes stuff much more straightforward. And it helps you also to pay the attention towards certain sectors which have a much better, signaling a trend, right? And I'm looking for that monstrous long gold post of mine. There you go. And now please listen up, and I hope it helps. And again, be honest to yourself. Okay? If you listen closely to my streams on YouTube, then let me break the blunt truth down again, so even the last one understands. If you think you need to have a bias here on which way it's gonna go, then I can help you. I believe I was clear enough to tell you that we are ranging here and you could flip a coin on whether we go up first towards 43 and higher, or we go down towards 3800s and lower. If you think those who promise you an outcome know what they are talking about, are lying, but you wouldn't know because you lack the technical knowledge. So, this is important. If you're honest to yourself and you're someone who is eligible, like a bit of not gullible, but eligible for a lie, or because you cannot rely on your own knowledge when it comes to technical analysis, you are a found, piece of food, because you then start believing it. Oh, he knows what he's talking about. But all he does is, it goes on. Only people who are honest like me tell you that you could argue in a bull way and make it sound convincing, and at the same time, I could be justifying the same convincing TA for the bear way. That's where the market wants you to be, in a constant stream of uncertainty, and lose money, therefore. Okay? I shared to you the long setup who could justify a move higher and the levels to break and how to break them to confirm the bullish outlook. This same I did to the downside. And guess what? Both are working. Isn't that crazy? And now I'm telling you just to focus on stuff that matters and not be like, oh, this guy said this and that guy said this. I don't care. Only making use of setups and money matters, period. If you follow people who promise you an outcome right now, are, like I said, guessing or only sharing the one-sided information, as I tried to explain above. Now make use of this information and focus what matters. You can scroll down my feed and double check what I said, and also watch prior updates on YouTube. Link is in my expire above. So, a lot of text, right? But this is important. Now, because if we scroll down my feed, right? If we do scroll down my feed, what do we see when it comes to gold? This was funny, right? breakout, and no, it's not. Where was gold? I posted this last week. Here you go. July 23rd. There you go. Gold. Last chance for gold. Again, no more sugarcoating. Must hold area. 40.25 and listen. 40.10, which is also the 4-hour inflection zone. Needs to hold tomorrow. And this was Thursday, right? Zone has held. Now gold needs to break for 125, otherwise all in vain, and it's gonna drop to the promise zone. Next resistance, blah, blah, blah. So, all of this has been shared. Okay? And now let's switch to gold here. So this is what is going to happen one way or another. But let me take this one out so you're not going to get confused. And listen to the levels. 40.25, right? 410. Guess what? Last week, price came in, boom, we went up. Interesting. What a coincidence, right? We went up, we entered an area of resistance. What happened? This entire 1 hour cycle failed. Where are we getting support at? We failed towards the end of the 1 hour cycle, so we have a shallow undercut, and now we are bouncing back up. Interesting. Gold and silver bouncing off those inflection zones for now, only setups I have been recommending. Interesting. Right? Nothing here in between, but those areas here. Okay? And now, could gold go from here on higher? Of course it could. It's all about risk reward. If we zoom out on gold, what has gold done the past weeks and month? Look at this. This is June 11th. 6 weeks ago, price was at the same here. And we're back at it. So we have done nothing but ranging. So when I'm giving you the blunt truth and tell you everyone who claims he knows which way it's gonna go is simply lying. What you can do is you can make a bullish scenario and you can come up and justify the same to the downside, but which one is gonna be right? You tell me. You could also flip a coin. So now, obviously, I'm doing this to straighten up your head, right? So you also spot people who are lying to you on X, maybe pull off a defollow, right? So within a ranging period, why is gold ranging anyway? We have been through this, people, right? Why is gold right now consolidating, ranging anyways? When I'm labeling a certain weekly pivot, right? Guess what happened here? We had a weekly cycle failure, right? And we are now within a time window where we should be seeking out a high. So a time window of distribution, but in a failed cycle, this is a time window of consolidation. So that's number one, okay? Second of all, because this is a time window of consolidation, right? And we are now only on week 18. Is there still time to go down for a week or two before pulling off this? Hell yeah. Okay? So when I'm saying, hey, I'm not gonna trade gold unless I see these lower levels come into play, right? These ones here means I don't mean that we are definitely going to come down now, right? We could easily go up from here on forward, but I'm not interested. Okay? Because this is a waste of time right now. Can I just pull off one setup and let it run? Either it's going to work out or not. Well, I could, but that's not how I trade or what my what my approach to the markets is, right? So this is if you zoom out, it makes it easier. It doesn't tell you which way it's going to go in the immediate short term, right? But it gives you vision. So like I said, we could sit here another week or two, right? But to me, one thing is clear. A failed weekly cycle, even if we were to go up, is going to come down. So understanding this, that's why I'm like, all right, as long as I don't get the levels I've been waiting for, which are the next areas of high time frame support, if the market isn't giving me this, I'm not interested. If the market is giving me this, I am inclined to be going long because the risk reward, people, is favoring this. Okay? It's all about risk reward. Yes, there is a fixed retracement eventually going to be grabbed because even in a failed weekly cycle, we are going to get some exit liquidity and then roll over again. Okay? But understanding this time window here, right? Either I'm going to get it or I'm not interested. It also means I'm not going to waste time and money trying to be like, all right, this is the pivot, that's the 1 hour bottom, this is gonna go up. We have seen this with Rashad, right? How successful has he been calling a bottom every week and poof, we kept on going lower. Could it be right for once? Maybe. I don't even think so. So I'm not saying gold is definitely going to go lower in the immediate short term, but it's gonna go down eventually. Okay? So therefore, I'm not eager to trade this right now into the long side unless bouncing off these inflection zones. So unless the inflection zones intraday are giving me the such a good risk reward, right? Look at this. If this is crazy, right? Almost 1,000 pips. You're welcome, right? Can this one even go higher here? Of course it could, right? But it's understanding risk reward. So, and I'm only a human when I'm so occupied with going over indices, trying to manage the memory stocks, right? And all of this. Why should I waste my time, right? Understanding a ranging market right now. Why should I bother? You need to make big decisions, guys. Are you going to waste your time and anticipate an immediate breakout like Rashad is doing daily 5 times? Or do you want to spend your time useful in a market where you have big, very good risk reward setups? Something to track, something to challenge you also, right? Having a broader perspective on the market. And again, I'm always happy to help, right? With gold. I am running a group where we update on gold every fucking day. Okay? And we're trained. Just right now, I have been trying to micromanage these guys into just look for these kind of setups. Because all of the rest is just waste of time, in my opinion. Anyway. So that's gold. A decision has not been made, people, if you are looking for this. There is no decision yet. Okay? But I can tell you here, if this one starts breaking and breaking in a fashion where we separate below this keys support zone, yeah, then it's just a matter of when, not if we get here. At the same time, look at this. We need a power candle above for 125 here. Okay, then we can get from here all the way into the 4300s. Okay, this can easily happen. But if you want to go long, you have to do it here, not at the resistance zone. I think this is very straightforward. We don't long green candles. We long red candles, people. Price and time meet. Thank you. I'm going for this trade. Okay? So, let's see. There are a lot of questions here. Happy to see them. All right. Nice one. You're welcome. Looking for the video. Okay. So, what do you think about silver? I will go into silver soon. Very clear, useful. Thanks. Some good content. Thanks. You're very much welcome. What for you is the clearest trigger signal that 38 is likely to happen? And I hope this is answered, right? I think if we start losing 410 here with a power candle, and a power candle is a candle like this one, for example, right? Where you separate from a key zone, okay? If we do this one here to the downside, to me, that's a signal. this would be a signal that we are going to go down. I'm not then gonna short this, but I will just simply wait and accumulate lower. Okay? Hope this helps, Daniel Brown. Yes, I did. Exactly. We need a daily significant close below, and then gold obviously will also always try to reclaim this, right? But the next time, I believe it's going to do something, but it needs to be a power candle, right? So like a significant one. So that if when the volatility bounces it back up, that it gets rejected. Okay? So this would be a sign that we are gonna go down. Okay? And if this here holds, right, this could be a new 4-hour bottom. Yep. This initially here, right, 1-hour cycle failure. Okay, perfect. We went up, but we did not break above the 4-hour resistance zone. So this 1-hour cycle also failed. So yes, this could be it. Okay, and look at the risk potentially for a reward. That's a setup we have taken in the group. Not me personally. I have been busy doing other stuff. Okay, but that's a risk reward setup which can work. Okay. What about the 3200s in gold? Yeah, so with the 3200s in gold, that's content for another stream, my friend. This would be blowing the stream out of proportion. Yes, it's not invalidated. This I can tell you. When are you expecting gold? 32 September. Yes, it's the same time window I have shared in January. End of September, early October, I believe this failed weekly cycle will also bottom. When you will be super bullish on gold, sir? Bro, you're asking the same questions. Oh, early October, I'm bullish gold. Is your main target still sub 30? That's not my main target. My main target is that we will go down towards 3,500 and lower. So I think 3,200 is what I would call main target. But there is a way we are only going down maybe towards 3,700. It really depends on how this initial weekly pivot is going to play. Okay? So okay. I hope this answers some of your questions. So now let's have a look into silver, right? Bum, 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 bum. So yeah, remember Rashad, breakout, and now we are back at price levels we were towards end of June. Nothing has happened apart from people longing resistance, I reckon. Shorting support and longing resistance. Yeah, so with silver, I still hope we are going to go down, but guess what? Silver has been holding the inflection zone. Just like gold has, right? And look at this move initially, very nice. Here it didn't get there, right? But it failed this new 1-hour cycle and we are right there. So as long as this here holds, I cannot be like, oh, silver has confirmed we're going to go down into this area here. Okay? So, can we break higher? Of course. Okay? However, Where did we get the rejection from? So if you've been following these streams, you could have now gotten into a short here and a long here. Bouncing off those inflection zones for now, only setups I have been recommending. So, and people longed the resistance because Rashad said we are going to go towards 70 in no time. But by remaining calm and not stupid, right? So, am I saying that the silver is now definitely going to go higher? I don't know, people. Like I said, I'm as honest as I can be, right? Yes, we have done a very nice move to the upside. We came down, right? We are holding support. So this small little setup right here could justify a move up. And is this one I would be happy to play if I know I am someone who FOMOs and longs resistance? Again, I cannot make it any more straightforward, break stuff down any clearer. It's about price and time. For our high, we came down, we tried to go back up. Nope. Look at this rejection here on Monday. If I pull these fib levels, will silver be above the 0.786 or not? You be my guest. Are you kidding me? So, what else can I tell you, people? Bulls hold support, bears hold resistance. That's as simple as it can be. So, and that's the definition of a ranging market. Okay? So if I be like, oh, you have too long here. If you are trading these assets, yes, you have to. You have a very clear invalidation, right? That's 1% risk of, I don't know, like if we go all the way towards 64 or at least get back into this one. That's a 9.1 risk reward. It doesn't get any better, right? So, does it mean I'm just gonna close everything and go long here? I am not interested. But if I was too long silver, I would do here. No brainer. Okay? Not resistance. Support, people. Not resistance. Support. Okay? So, but the broader story, if we zoom out, is the same one. As I shared a couple of weeks ago. I still am hopeful that this is going to go down into here at first, right? Step 1. Then we go all the way back up into step 2. And then we're going to finalize a step 3 into a bottom into September, October. So if this pivot here is already done, well, then we're already on step 2 here. Not a big deal. Okay? Okay, so let's see those questions. I'm a few minutes behind, by the way. What? It's all so short-term for the retail traders. Agree, can look bullish or bearish. Time and price is the factor. Exactly. I'm a few minutes behind, by the way. Okay. Gold 37, 38 should be 50 or less, or silver. Why do you feel it is stronger? Thanks. I didn't get the question, Daniel. Sajil Jain, my friend, you're asking the same questions over and over. $100 if I have silver coming down into low 50s in October. So when do you think I think silver's gonna hit $100? Sometimes you just need to, again, sorry. So I think, and remember, $57 in silver, right? Even if we go down another 20% in total, right? It's not gonna change the long-term outcome, guys. Silver is going to go 150, 200 in the next bull run. And yes, it can take up to 2-3 years. It's not a big deal. It's a long-term investment. Okay, so I'm asking in a long-term view. So yes, it is going to go. $100 is nothing. It's going to go above 100. So when we do come down here into September, October, buy silver. And then don't worry when it hits 100. Worry about how much higher it's going to go. You think gold can drop to 37, 38 in the next week, but your comparable support level for silver seems higher, stronger. Yeah, why not? I mean, it also needs to have been putting in a bit of a more cushion, right? But another 10% drop here in silver for another 4-5% drop in gold. Yes, this would, I would view silver proportionately a bit stronger. But remember, it could also drop into the lower end, which is 50.81, right? So could also just get down into this one. And yeah, it can be a sharp move, right? Whatever. I'm not saying we're gonna go definitely lower first. Don't get me wrong. As long as support holds, I cannot be bearish. Okay? That's number one. Number two is when we go down again, we will have to wait and see how this is going to play if we were to go down in the next week or two. Okay? Hope this helps. All right, so now we also covered gold and silver. And as I also showed off a bit earlier, we were nailing this bottom here in WTI. And remember what I said, if we get there initially, right, I will be taking profits. And guess what? We have been now rolling over. So now you can blame whatever these news, or you can just thank the cycles which have been suggesting to me, hey, that's the next move. Okay? So, and look how beautiful we have yet bounced off today from the 21 DMA here, right? Nice. So cycles, people. Okay, here we were on day 13, and yes, we did go up initially. We closed even above 90.7, but look at this, no confirmation, and then whoop. Now we have also failed this 4-hour cycle here, which is a necessity, right? Because ultimately you want to be looking for a counter move to the upside. So the issue here is found on the 4-hour. Actually, it's no longer an issue because this is done in one run. So that's amazing. So I could see a bit more downside here, right? Cycle-wise, this is now candle 44. So I would argue no later than tomorrow, maybe Thursday, to pull off a 4-hour bottom here, and then we should be grinding our way back up. So I think ultimately a move back towards 85 is gonna be locked, right? Look at this massive, nice area here. The question is how, right? So if we look at this one here, yeah, this level here, right? 82.1. We would need to claim this area here, right, with the power candle, and then we're gonna do this. And then we will have to figure out once the bottom is confirmed, right? We drag these and we look for areas of confluence again. So the lower we go, obviously, right? So look at this one, 75 here, 88. This could happen. So yeah, I would be looking for some longs, but only if we were to backtest the 75.60 breakout area here. Okay. Yeah, I could be wrong. The low would be in and we would continue back up. So about my position, so you guys get the understanding. I am out 90 fucking percent. Okay. So I got 10% remaining. Okay. And now again, I'm not eager to reinvest in longs desperately. Okay. I have still 10% exposure from here. So unless I get what I'm asking for, I'm not going to act. Okay? Because who says that this daily cycle is not going to be failing? Okay? There is no guarantee. It is very unlikely, let me tell you. That's not even considered in my secondary scenario even. The most bearish I can be is for the short to near term is like we're gonna do this, right? And then just waste a lot of time here, right? Going sideways before the next move higher. Okay? So that's the most bearish I am as of right now. Okay? So, like this, for example, okay? That it's just gonna waste a lot of time and effort here going sideways, okay? Before ultimately going up. Because if this is a weekly bottom, the first daily cycle ain't no way gonna fail, period. So that's where I am with WTI. You can take notes, you can ask questions, and yeah, that's my stance on WTI as well. And remember, there is even a chance, right, that we are going to go back above $100. I've been very vocal about this pivot here, right? A weekly pivot. If the bulls want to drag prices higher, they are on the driving seat when it comes to timing. Bears would need to break this daily cycle and fail this, but guess what? Even if that was to play, it's gonna go back up. So the bulls here are in a very comfortable position, in my opinion, the WTI bulls. Okay? At least timing-wise into October, for sure. Okay. You're welcome, my friend. So now we have covered a lot, people. So let me just summarize this real quick. We went over the indices, which are right now my highest focus. Okay? They're getting my full attention. And what we do at Kiddows Global, for you guys who I have been getting some DMs, but I have also blocked a lot. So only verified accounts can now DM me because it has gotten a bit outrageous. But what we do here at Kiddows Global is the same stuff, right? I have been preaching here over the last 6 to 8 weeks. But obviously, I'm doing this daily. We take every stock independently, right? Chart independently and break down intraday, intra-week, and like near-term risk-reward setups. Okay? So, the setup I have been sharing with you on the NASDAQ, right? Which has been a banger, right? This one right here. There have been multiple in-between setups with a very high risk reward. Okay? There you go, right? All in between. And guess where we just got? In even today's bounce, which is a very nice one, has been communicated with understanding that's a freaking high time frame support area. Despite this volatility, just go back 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago, how much volatility was implied here, and yet we didn't break significantly lower. Okay? So, and all of this is always in advance communicated at Kiddows Global, right? People ask me how to join. Well, you go into our website, right? There you go. You read through everything first because I don't want people to get the wrong impression here. Are you just educating? Hell no. I'm also sharing setups just like I have been doing live here for free, but we are doing it within the group in a more concrete way. Okay? So I teach the cycles, the framework, right? I also look into some fundamentals, right? Some people are maybe surprised of how much fundamental knowledge I have about the metals market, right? So I am one of the bigger metals bull than you can think of. But again, this is when people are just labeling, oh, he is bearish, he doesn't know, and blah, blah, blah. All I'm doing is help people, okay? And yeah, you're going to get to know me. You also get a one-to-one where people can ask like questions. We have gotten like 3 new beginners, for example, who haven't gotten like pretty much a lot of exposure, right? So there is so much content within the group, okay? Streams daily. It's insane, people, how much content there has been already created. But some people want to make me like they don't know what kind of trader they want to be, right? Some are maybe want to specialize on scalping. Some are, they don't have the time. They have wife and kids. They only want to go for swing trades, like broader pivots, right? And some want to be like a full-time trader, for example, right? So we're discussing, some want me maybe to have a one-to-one and be honest, right? A personal talk. Hey, that's my situation. That's my goal. How can you help me? Right? And all of these things, once you're in within the group, right, we can discuss privately a one-to-one meeting. I take every time I can, right? Just to serve your goals. And yeah, we are now already 45 people, right? We are growing, guys. I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and the core people who started with, right, is still the same. And this is very flattering for me, shows me how much work I'm doing here, right? And people are not sick and tired of me, but they love me, right? Just otherwise they would not be in the group, period. And I'm doing all of these free analysis here on YouTube and X, sharing my perspective on the markets, right? And I have been running very, very hard. And I'm also humble enough to tell people, hey, eventually I will also be wrong, right? So apologies already in advance. But guess what? All I'm teaching is risk reward and how to come into that conclusion. Okay? So we do a lot of stuff, people. I may have to sometimes maybe update or post stuff of how much hours we are spending day in, day out, right? And when all of this fits your set of expectations, right, then you can join. And if you want to save 2 months of free content, you can either even join for an entire year. Okay? So now, last round of requests, or I'm gonna go over some charts. You may wanna take notes. Okay? And I'll see you in a 2 months, and you will be like, damn, this is the same print he had on the semis, and this one also played out. What the fuck is this guy, right? Anyway, and now pay attention, take notes. We go into Tesla. Pam, param, pam, pam. So I have started a call option on Tesla, and my view on this cycle is very straightforward. It is similar to gold. Okay? You have a weekly cycle, right? The first daily cycle here did not fail. They never do, right? And then daily cycle number 2, we are failing. So right now we are consolidating just like the entire indice. If you have noticed, take notes, people. Okay? So, and we are going to go all the way back in, grab some liquidity here. Okay? But since this is a failed cycle, guess what? And this cycle is still short from this point onwards. Boop. Okay? So, what have I done? I have started now with the initial entry, a small one. I'm being honest, right? I have tipped my toe into this one here, okay? And I'm gonna add all the way down into the 200 DMA here and maybe even lower. This is how much of a conviction I have that this is going to be the initial wave down, exit liquidity, and down we go further. Okay? Take notes, people. Okay? So I bought call options 360 by mid-September. This is good stuff. So, could I be wrong? Of course, some of you may want to be a bit more conservative, right? Remember, I have been running hard, so I have some money here to be investing in from my profits. Okay, so I can be more on the aggressive side. But normally I would consider myself personally as a very conservative trader, since I'm also a swing trader. But I'm getting aggressive when I have to. Okay, and so yeah, I'm now accumulating. The lower we go, the more I have conviction that this is the right play. Okay, but maybe you don't want to go for 360, maybe 340, 330, right? understand the options game as well. The sooner this happens, obviously, the more you're in the money first, right? And these kind of things. Okay. So I hope ideally, just like the NASDAQ, it gets down more so I can add more. Okay. So the work I have done today is being positioned, right? I had to manage my positions. I had some shorts going, taking profits. I'm still a bit hedged here in that regard, but I am net long on the NASDAQ, Tesla, and Google. Google, I actually opened up a position last week. So that's my view here on Tesla. Google, why have I opened up a position on Google, right? So yes, you can even long a failed cycle, people, okay? So let me tell you why I think we need a bit more patience here also, because the daily cycle here, where would you put the failure in? Oh, I think this is the one here. Okay, so we got the high here and then now the failure. Okay, and now we are seeking out a new bottom, and this new bottom should be good to retrace and fill this gap here, right? And yeah, very nice. And this would be the 0.5 also from this initial weekly high. Okay, depending when we go, how low we gonna go. And yeah, so that's banked, Kiddow proofed. Okay. Now Google. Why have I gotten into Google and this one be the one which has is more even convincing? So daily cycle low here as well, right? But unlike the Tesla, which failed the entire weekly cycle, Google didn't. But what has it done? It has failed this daily cycle to signal what exactly? A weekly high. So this is a weekly corrective phase. Okay. And why am I this bullish on Google here is because it could technically speaking pull off a new all-time high. Okay. So the weekly cycle is not in jeopardy here. Okay. But I have, like I said, I'm very conservative. I've only gone for a 380 call by mid-September. And when I started buying, it was 324. It's all recorded on the Kiddow live streams at Kiddow's Global. Okay. So, and it's already up nicely. But again, even within Google, right? I understand this right market condition we are right now in. I really much hope I'm gonna get a chance maybe to add at these lower 320 zones, and if we get one sharp undercut, I'm still happy to buy more. Okay. DCA means dollar cost average. Okay. So you don't go all in at once, but you have a plan, a strategy, you have levels you want to be getting your exposure in. So within the NASDAQ, for example, like I said, right? Yes, our initial target got hit. So that's a buy. Okay. My next area would be maybe here at 23,300. I will obviously have to track how we get there, whether this is going to hold, right? I want price to consolidate, people. This is, I hope I have set the tone about this week. If not, rewatch the beginning of this stream because it's so important. Okay. I right now don't think that the bottom is in. I really much believe we are still going to consolidate ideally lower. Okay? And this will give us a huge chance here to make some green big papers. Okay? But like I said, to finish my point, I have today gotten some profits out of my shorts. Like I said, I'm still a bit hatched because I still have some shorts running. Okay? And at the same time, though, I opened up the positions I wanted to go. And now I have time to start dollar cost average into these and make them much bigger. Okay? So I'm giving this consolidation at least another week potentially. If we run off these levels and don't come back, well, again, I'm invested. Okay, that was the entire purpose today. And this is big because as a swing trader, I don't usually trade a lot of intraday stuff. So when I'm doing these changes, I'm now set, right? And if there is some huge volatility which is surfing my set of expectations, I can now open up that position, buy or close, whatever. Okay? So this was a big day, a very long day. And yes, where is the 80s music? Yeah, that's a big issue, right? With the YouTube copyright and stuff, I cannot just play music. But yeah, guys, tell me, what kind of genre do you like? 80s is the best, isn't it? Yes, Steve is also, yeah, presumably one of the loyalist members in our Kiddow's global army, right? Joined since day one. This is now almost 2.5 years ago. All right. Steve, have I said anything which is not true in today's stream? I don't think so, right? Because I'm not a fucking liar. All right. Yeah. Any requests to finish off this stream? It's now been 100 minutes, people. I've been streaming. It's insane. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Any thoughts on KOSPI? Yes. Here. Go into Kiddow stuff on my... So what you guys can do, right? If you want to check me out, right? Go into my profile, Kiddow stuff, right? And look for KOSPI. I did one post here. This is mid-July. The KOSPI tells you everything you need to know about today's market. So much fucking leverage in this system, right? FYI, look how beautiful the 10 DMA has been containing price on the way down, right? Also, there is a good chance that the days weekly cycle is in. If not, we are very close from time. And this is the one. Talking about a concentrated market. And this is May 31st. Here are some interesting facts. The Korean Composite Index, KOSPI, consists of 900 to 950 stocks. And 2 stocks are responsible for 50% of the entire index. That's crazy, okay? The KOSPI 200 has 200 stocks, and the MAC2 are responsible for 60% of the entire index. The NASDAQ has the MAC7 and the KOSPI has its MAC2. Samsung and Hynix, right? What could possibly go wrong? So this was a warning, but obviously some don't get the notice, right? Where is that KOSPI chart? Let's give it a pum. I know it's somewhere in here. There you go. Okay. Don't touch it. That's all I can say, right? The 200 will be likely tagged, so it's a done deal, guys. Okay, the best I can see is a complacency rally, right? Make it even, maybe even very deep back up, right? Just to send a wrong impression, people falling for this. But this one is done for years, people. It's just, some don't want to accept this, but just zoom out, people. That's done for, yeah, for a long time here. Okay? So yeah, look at the 10-month here, right? At 5834, right? So a bit more downside if this is getting close back below. We have late July here, guys. So, and guess what? I have forgot to mention. End of month volatility on top of all of the other stuff I mentioned. It's nuts. So just to break this one more time down for you. Tomorrow, FOMC, right? We have big earnings on the next day also. Okay, so Wednesday, Microsoft, Meta, ARM Holdings, Qualcomm, right? Then this is tomorrow, Wednesday. Thursday, right? They will talk a lot, blah, blah, blah. And then they will hint towards the economic data. And guess when that will be dropped? Pre-market New York, US advanced GDP, US core PCE, personal income spending, unemployment claims, all on Thursday. And this is July 30th, right? What's happening on July 30th? Oh, Apple, which is hitting a new all-time high, Amazon. And then we're going to start also with some energy stocks like Shell, right? Healthcare, okay? And Friday, which is the last day of the month, end of month volatility, implication. And then we have energy, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Linde, Dominion Energy, Imperial Oil, Chemical, right? If you're into uranium. So a lot of stuff. And this is all within this week, people. So this is why I am a bit more cautious with calling a bottom to be in just yet. Okay. All right. Yeah. Again, I would love to, right? It's a small position, but again, if this plays, right, it's gonna be at least a 6x, yeah, move to the upside. I have I have a new all-time high also by mid-September. So I got a very good entry here. Remember, options papers are very sensitive to the intraday volatility. Okay. So I was very busy today managing these entries and such. That was a great tutorial. Appreciate it. Gold is flirting with 40.25 at this moment. No metals bounce with oil down so much. I wonder if down for a week. So again, we talked about where is my DXY chart. So we're right now at this area here. So we are getting a lot of volatility here, right? Choppy price action, up, down, up, down. The important feature here, right, is maybe we are going to go for a pullback again. So it's very looking similar to gold, right? Is the pivot in? Is this gonna hold? If yes, we could squeeze higher, but we have still not gotten any like convincing candles, right? The one we got here, okay, we had that 101.20 level, right? But no follow through. So we came down, then another attempt, and again we are coming down. So it looks a bit exhausted here, okay? Let's zoom out and let's see what this could mean for gold real quick. So I have this pivot here as a daily cycle low. So ultimately, I then therefore think if we are going to hit a new all-time high, right? Sorry, an all-time high, a new local high, it's going to be a waste of time and effort. Okay? So I am slightly short-term, yes, we can squeeze, and due to the implied volatility within the next days, right? This can easily happen, but it should then fade. Okay? You would be like, what are you talking about, Kiddow? You called this one to perfection, this back test here, and we're gonna go up. Yes, but I'm still not confident. This is how crazy this is. Okay? I don't think it's just gonna rally off here like into the 103 areas. No, the 200 on the weekly, there you go. I think this is within acceptance, right? And then we're gonna come down, finish off a daily cycle, and then we can maybe talk about higher highs. Okay, so keep some notes here. Okay, so oil, gold. So gold, again, it is in a very, very clear, severe consolidation. Like I said in the beginning, I think I was straightforward. Unless price gets down into my promised land, and remember, even this promised land has a wider range. Okay, so I don't know where gold exactly is going to set its weekly pivot, right? So it's a wide range, guys. Okay, but I am not interested in longing desperately here if price doesn't do what I want to see happening first, right? I'm just gonna let it fade. I'm not interested. I'm only interested for my subscriber to break down the areas of risk reward, period. From my personal stance, if gold doesn't gets me here, I'm not going to long gold for the weekly pivot back up maybe into 43 and yes, maybe even 4400s, right? But I want to be in a comfortable position, just like I have been with WTI. If I don't get what I'm looking for, right, then I'm not going for it. Doesn't mean that we are going to come down. We could easily go up from here on forward, right? This area is big. If you want to be longing, that's your risk reward. Okay? So, I'm not interested. I'm, as I said, busy people, busy. Okay? So, any last questions? So, last question here. We're going to hit the 2-hour mark. Crazy. Final question goes to... Okay. So, please leave a subscription here. Okay? 242. That's, again, we just started a couple of months ago, but come on, guys, you can do better. Leave a follow, right? If you want to hear me more, leave a follow here at Kiddow Stuff. Follow Michael at Trading Ninja. He is our scalp master. Okay. And yeah. By the way, if you want to be updated on, that's our main page, right? Our CEO. If there's anything you guys have questions on about the entire project we are running here at Kiddow Global, the business, contact him. Okay? And then you are also being updated here with all the good stuff. He has some very good articles here about the metals, right? All been explained well in advance. Okay? Some very good reads here. So maybe to get your knowledge a bit up to date. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. And I'll see you soon. Remember, give and you will be given. So please leave some good feedback, leave a like and a subscription on YouTube, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.